Hello there. We are underway in celebrating our first year anniversary. And if you don't already know about it, I'm hosting a raffle and giving away more than $2,000 worth in cash and prizes. So if you or a friend have access to an Apple product, you can enter to win. For the complete details, go to sayyesToYourSoulPodcast.com. All right, here we go with another soulful episode.
Yeah, at the time, I'm not sure I was aware of it, but that might have been part of that, knowing that there was something else for me. Because I always knew there was something, and I just didn't know what it was.
Hello, I'm Tessa Lynn Alburn. Welcome to the Say Yes to Your Soul podcast, where we empower women to connect with their souls and shine in their business. If you are ready to embrace your brilliance, create meaningful connections, and be compensated for your specific gifts, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore inspiring stories, practical insights, unique points of view, and soulful strategies, all to help you thrive. So let's dive on into this transformative journey together. Tune in and say yes to your soul. Hello there. Today we have a guest that I'm speaking with who is in Monterey area, and she is an amazing woman who has learned to defy a lot of the programming that was given to her and the criticism. She left a 20-year abusive relationship. And this is not terribly long ago, but long enough, like in her early adulthood. And as a partner in her husband's construction company, she left both her marriage and her income. Ouch. Because she had believed that she couldn't make enough money to support her 4 children, but she was determined to find a way to create the life she actually dreamed of. And she did. She became a coach, a very successful coach, and she believes she is in contract with the divine feminine to walk with her clients and to teach them to be both bold and safe and to trust their feminine wisdom. So she embraced her essential feminine and birthed a new way called the Art of Feminine Business. And her name is Julie Foucht. Today, Julie teaches female coaches, teachers, and healers who are frustrated with traditional formulas how to build 6-figure businesses, yes, that honor their feminine essence. And we so need her here to support the rising feminine. I'm really, really grateful that she's here today with us. Julie, please welcome to Say Yes to Your Soul.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay. So we were chatting a little bit, and I think what I really love about getting to know you is this very nurturing and powerful piece around the divine feminine and using our skills and our inherent power to create abundance. But there was a big story for you, and if you could, in about 4 minutes, maybe 5, please, would you share with us how you went from where you were to where you are today in life?
Yeah, that is a big story. I was raised the oldest of 5 girls. I was raised to be a good Catholic girl. And my dad actually said at one point, I raised my boys to get along in the world. I raised my girls to be taken care of. And so I grew up with this idea that I really couldn't take care of myself, which resulted in me marrying my high school boyfriend right out of high school and starting to pop out kids because, we were Catholic. And he ended up not being the best husband. There was abuse, there was cheating, there was, verbal abuse as well as physical. But I had all these little babies, and I was really afraid that if I left, I would either lose them or not be able to feed them, or, he would find a way to take them away from me and then I wouldn't be there for them. And so I raised my kids in this really not great environment. And during that time period, I started to do some journaling, and I started to just dip my toes into like some Jungian psychology and really having a relationship with the divine. And it was actually during a meditation with my highest self that I decided to leave, because I said to my highest self, is there any way I can stay in this marriage? And, source is neutral. So she said, oh, yes, of course you can. You'll die, but you could stay.
So she was really direct with you.
Yeah. And I truly believe I would not have survived too much longer. I mean, the soul part of me was so shut down that I probably was killing off that part of myself then. So that started the next phase of this spiritual awakening, which was walking out the door, learning that I could not only support myself, but then learning that I could really bring in a lot of abundance, learning that I could manifest my dreams, and then being called to teach that to others, and developing such a deep personal relationship with the energy of money and how we call money in and how we open ourselves for more in service to the world, in service to the mission. And my mission really became to get more money in the hands of more women so that there wouldn't be another woman who stayed in a bad situation because she didn't think she could afford to leave.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I appreciate that you're very clear on your mission, and this, you have a direct connection to the value or the pain, really, of what it is like for so many women, and has been for however long we can count the years. And it's just not acceptable. And so what you discovered, what you landed on, this wasn't even in your consciousness, right? Beforehand.
No, I was, full on. We go to church every week. We do the big services. I directed the Christmas play at our church every year. Like, that was not in my consciousness. And during several years of the marriage, I was doing this meditation practice, and I would call in Jesus and I would say, what am I here for? And I would hear, you'll know later, we'll tell you later. And I had my spirit guides would come in. I know it's a bit of a contrast being Catholic and having spirit guides, but I was starting to open up to that. And my spirit guides would say, not now, you have something else to do first.
I love that. Hang on a second. There you've been raised Catholic. It's very, rule oriented, and it's, women are just supposed to go along with things, get as pregnant as you get in your lifetime and, do things a certain way. And
I love that.
Somehow, though, you got interested in Jungian psychology, and then the next thing you know, you're meditating and you're having private conversations with Jesus, and he's not telling you anything, like not much. He's like, wait, how did that feel?
Oh, it was so frustrating. I knew that my purpose was to be more than a mom. I love my kids. I loved raising them. They are such a gift, and my family is so important to me. But I was also really aware that wasn't my purpose in life. I was aware that I had about 18 years with each of them. And there was something else for me. And I knew that the end of it was not for me to simply serve at the whim of my then husband, which was, he thought that's what it was.
Well, I'm glad you knew that. Yeah, that was loud and clear.
But I kept that kind of hidden inside. Like that was one of those little secrets that I kept in my heart, because to say it out loud would have created all kinds of problems
Yes.
in the household. And I think that was one of the things that would have died. One of those, if not like my whole physical being ceasing to exist, but that part of me would have died if I hadn't somehow dragged myself out the door at the moment that I did.
Julie, I love what you're saying here. And it reminds me of a shamanic practice where one can take an element of their soul and protect it for a particular purpose for an amount of time. And you knew, to me, that's exactly what this is. You knew if you brought it out in the open, not only would there be chaos and there'd be, a lot of consequences, negative consequences, because you weren't in control of your husband, and you knew to keep it inside yourself where it would be safe and protected. But it was like, it sounds like it was your guiding force, all those years.
Yeah, I think I've lived several lifetimes as a witch. And some of those lifetimes ended up with me being killed as the witch. And I think the first lifetime I ever had with that husband was also with me being a witch and ending up dead because of it. But I've also lived lifetimes where I went to a convent, because if you want to do magic and not get burned for it, become a nun and call it a miracle, right?
Hear, hear.
So my soul had found all these ways of kind of hiding the magic, but still being able to do it. Well, in this lifetime, that was one of the things I was being called to put down, was that I'm going to hide the magic. And I was really being called to figure out how to be visible in my magic. And I chose someone for that first husband, or my soul chose someone in that first marriage who would actually make me strong, because I became so weak in the relationship. I became so small and powerless that
Totally.
I had to unlearn that to become who I am today. And if I had married my second husband first, I don't think that I ever would have developed the strength that I have today, because he's such a nice guy.
Well, you're absolutely right. And this is a beautiful example of what a challenge can do for us, right? And these people that come into our lives, or they're placed in our lives, or maybe we even call them in before we show up out of the womb, before we're even conceived, where we know that we're going to have certain oppositional characters in our lifetime. And you got the first part of the journey, which has given you insight into so many other women's situations, and that it is not hopeless.
Yes, exactly. And when we look at those wounds that we have, the wounds that he inflicted on me, or the childhood wounds, or even the past life wounds, those places have so much beauty and light when we can step back and look at them. And I have a really good friend who's a photographer. We actually do retreats where we photograph those wounded places as a part of the healing. We really look at them and we say, what's the gift in here? What is it that helped me become who it is I want to be from this wounding experience? And it's just a really tender place. and also really powerful when we can say, oh, okay, I can love this part of me. The fact that I can go back and love that woman, that young woman who was so afraid, and send her hope from this future place, I think is one of the things that helped me get through that journey, was that the future me was sending love back.
That's beautiful. And I'm curious to know, I mean, there's so much in that. I started to tear up when you were talking about like just that tender loving the wounds, right? Which we so often don't make space for that in our lives, or people are afraid to do it because maybe they feel like they're going to get stuck in the wounding. But you already knew that you had some future part of you sending back hope. And can you elaborate on that a little bit so people have a sense of maybe what it felt like for you, or what your experience of that was?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I was actually aware of it
at the time, like now retroactively.
Yeah, at the time, I'm not sure I was aware of it, but that might have been part of that, knowing that there was something else for me. Like, because I always knew there was something, and I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that could be really frustrating. I know there's something else, but what is it? What is it? And you continued your journey, and you now, I mean, you didn't make it your mission to go around and like get all the women in shelters and in places of refuge to get them psychological help. You did something very specific, which was to help them navigate this world, which requires money. And your powers of magic all started coming together. Do you recall when the first time was that you realized there was a connection there, and that money and the energy of money was going to be part of your gift that you brought the world?
Well, I always, when I discovered the world of coaching, I always knew I was going to help women to discover their power. And then I discovered coaching, which was a perfect way to do that. And then I discovered I really liked coaching women in business. And so at first it was all about business. And the more that I dove into my relationship with money, there was a point where money said, hey, you are no longer the student. You need to go teach that. And of course, my first thought was, well, that's not mine to teach. That's so-and-so's to teach, or so-and-so, they teach that, not me. And money was like, why not you? Right. And I really had this calling to step into my wise woman, to step into I'm not a student anymore. I don't need somebody else to take the lead. I know, and money knows how to flow through me. And it was scary. Like, I had past mentors reach out to me and say, is this really what you're supposed to be teaching? And it's too close to what I teach. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was kind of a weird one. And I just didn't let any outside whispers stop me. And even things like using the word witch, I have received trolls from that. But witch is just wise woman. It comes from the word wise woman. And it's wise women who connect with source and create from source. And I do remember I sent an email, because I was all businesslike at first. I was going to teach funnels and websites and hardline sales conversations.
Oh my, yeah.
And I was in a mastermind group, and one of the women said, you have to be you. And I said, well, I'm pretty woo-woo in my private life. And she just said, then you must be that. And when she speaks, you listen. And I sent an email that said, Sometimes I read tarot cards during my coaching sessions, and I thought I had blown up my business. I cried when I sent that email because I thought I was done and I was going to have to get a job. And it has been so freeing. It freed up my flow of money. I have clients that are perfect now because I'm letting all of me be seen. The woo-woo, the masculine business action, all of that gets to come out now in service of my clients. And it's made business so much more fun. And like, it's made my income so much more fun.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And well, you get to be yourself. You're talking about authenticity here, right? When we try to hold those places in us back that we think aren't going to be accepted, it just clouds the rest of us. The rest of us can't shine through that. It just doesn't work. You can't be in a cloud and be in the sunshine at the same time.
And I think that was the final healing piece of that, having to hide so much during that first marriage. My husband now say things like, well, I had to go talk to somebody's dead dad today. My husband just rolls his eyes. Okay.
But, yeah. So he accepts you.
He accepts it.
I love it. Yep. I'm going to go talk to the dead, sweetie. I'll be back for dinner.
I'll be back.
So, Julie, this is so fabulous. I'm really enjoying this conversation today. And I love meeting, another witchy woo. I know that I've been on somewhat of that journey myself. How much witch am I, right? It's sort of like part of the question. And I have a different take on things for myself than you do, obviously. But I think the thing that we share, that most women really do share, is when we own the parts of ourselves that we consider like the shadow or the ones we have to protect or we shouldn't be sharing, when we own those, then we can create magic because we're in our power.
Yeah.
Those are part of our soul power. And yeah, we could keep them closeted. We could, not say anything and not doing anything. But I think at the end of my life, I know I don't want to be one of those people saying to myself, oh, I wish I had.
Yeah, exactly. And from my point of view, I don't want to have to come back and learn this lesson again.
No kidding. Yeah.
I'm going to get this one so I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I don't have to come back into an abusive relationship to get this lesson or any other catastrophic thing that would make me get this lesson. Like, just you got it now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Exactly.
All right. So I am curious, like now, when you connect to Source, do you have a particular way that you like to do that? And how does that connect to who you are as a soul?
So there's a couple of ways I connect. One is through meditation. But meditation for me has become as simple as like taking a breath and saying, hey, can I talk to my highest self? Or, hey, can I talk to the energy of money or the energy of my business? Or, hey, guides, can you do this for me? So that's one thing I'll do. The other thing I do is I go through the Akashic records, which is really fun if you're looking along a timeline or you want to know, is there an energy block here? So like this morning, I was doing some writing about money. And so I just like dropped in, took a breath and said, can I talk with money? Money, is there something that you want me to put out in the world today? Is there something you want known? And so that really helps guide my business in that way. And I do that all the time. Like, it's not like I have to set aside an hour to meditate. I can be, sitting at a stoplight and I'll get this tap on the back of my neck. I'll feel it. I'll be like, okay, who wants my attention?
I love that. So it's really integrated for you at this point. You're almost like just,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you like say when you go to meditate, let's call it, or you're just taking a breath, which is helping you to access that ability to hear your guides, your spiritual team, and you're asking great questions.
Yeah. I've been doing it a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's become really second nature. But I also think when I was a little kid that I really had that. And when I was 7, we lived in a haunted house and it freaked me out so much that I shut it down for a while. And
Oh, yes. That would be very scary to a little kid.
yeah, that's a story for another day, but it's pretty big story because we actually went back, my brother and I went back to the house one day. It's still creepy, but having that experience, it took me several years to break through that and be able to start hearing again. Once I did, it's become such a blessing.
Beautiful. And so there are times, right, when there are disembodied energies or energies that are malevolent, and we need to be discerning and be in our power, like find ways to really make good decisions, but also be smart about our energy. And, when is it time? Like I imagine it was really smart of you to stay away for a while. And you even recognized when you went back that, it wasn't a good thing. And sometimes I see people like get excited because they have some kind of experience and they're like, oh, I want to know more about that. But it might not be the right experience or a blessed experience. It may be a very challenging one that could then plummet somebody into, a number of years of problems.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to have our own sort of barriers up. So I do a practice in the morning where I cleanse my energy. I have source flow over me, cleansing my energy, taking away what's not mine. I can recognize if there's an energy that's not good for me, or if I'm working with a client, I recognize an energy and I have systems in place to send that energy away using universal law. And so think for people listening, it's really trusting your gut. Does this feel good or does this feel icky? We'll use the technical term. Does it feel
Exactly? No, it's a great method because the body doesn't lie if we're paying attention to it.
Exactly.
So, Julie, I know you're talking about being connected to source, and we know that there are women out there who are not necessarily feeling that, or they're like in their head, like, yeah, I think I'm connected to source, but I don't know really, is that what's happening? Like, what would you want them to know?
I think I would want them to know that they can trust themselves. So much of this and so much for me in the beginning was learning that, yes, I can trust myself. I can trust that weird voice that I don't know where it came from that told me, like, take a different route home. I can trust that. Or I can trust when my body is a full on yes to something that makes no sense at all. I can trust that. And I think that if you can step into even a little bit of trusting the whispers, source wants to be connected to you. Source is here for you. It's pure love. And if you can just begin to trust that you are magic and that since you are made of source energy, because we're all energy, that you can access that, that's the very first step.
Awesome. Okay. Yes, you heard it from Julie. You can connect to source and start trusting that. Julie, how can people connect with you?
That's a great question. Well, we can meet in the spiritual planes, but here in the physical, I have a Facebook group at Feminine Business Magic on Facebook. We do a lot of magic, a lot of money opening stuff. We brag once a week, which is really a magic practice. And so I would like to invite everyone to consider joining us there. And also, if you want more of those rituals, those spells, I do have the Wise Witches Guidebook. It has one of those, I talked about how I cleanse my energy in the morning. It's got that in there. It's got some money opening rituals. So you'll put that link in the show notes, or you can just go to my website at Julie Foucht, FOUCHT.com, and get that guidebook as well.
Fantastic. All right. So a couple different ways that you can connect with Julie if you enjoyed something that she shared here today, or you just want to explore this world of magic for yourself a little bit, dip your toes in. She is a beautiful soul, and I know that you will be in good hands, however long you decide to participate. So Julie, I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for being here today and for being such, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a comprehensive and magical guest.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to have been here and been able to share with you.
Oh, well, I know everyone's going to enjoy this episode for years to come. So, in closing today, I just want to encourage you to begin trusting yourself a little bit more, to listen for that whisper, to listen to that, maybe that little tap on the shoulder or at the base of your skull or wherever it is for you, to listen and trust that you are connected to Source. Julie, thanks again. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye for now, and I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this week's delicious episode. Before you jump off, I wanted to remind you to get entered in the raffle this month because I'm giving away more than $2,000 worth of prizes in both private sessions and actual cash. What are those prizes, you ask? Well, one of them is a private 75-minute soul light healing session with me. And that can be healing on various levels. It might be releasing trauma or tuning up your body or your emotions or clearing things like past lives and karma that's been, energetic debris holding you back. This session can be very helpful and sometimes have dramatic results in relationships, money, and in your health. And we're going to do that together on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. The second prize is a 60-minute coaching session with me, and that's also going to be on Zoom. So if you want support or clarity for your goals, like help with getting started with a project or just creating an action plan, that is going to be an amazing session. You'll be surprised at how much you come away with. The third prize is a personalized meditation that I will design especially for you. And of course, it's going to be yours to keep. So it's going to be fully personalized in terms of the content, and I will be speaking just to you so that you will be able to resonate with it and receive the maximum benefits that you want to create. Okay, now for the fun stuff, the cash. I have several cash prizes in various amounts. I've got several $50 prizes, $75 prizes, and $100 prizes. So you can see there are many opportunities to win here, and I just want to encourage you to be sure to play because you do need to play to win. All monetary prizes will be delivered through PayPal or Wise. And if you have a different currency, it'll be automatically converted for you. So as long as you have access to an Apple device, you can play. And all the instructions are available on our website at sayyes2yoursoulpodcast.com. That's sayyes2yoursoulpodcast.com. And if you need any support in completing your raffle entry, my team is ready to help you with that. You'll find their email on our webpage as well. So that's it. All the best to you, and may you say yes to your soul.